You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Oh yeah, baby, that's lovely.
Good morning and welcome to Psychedelics and Cannabis Educational News, your Psychedelics and Cannabis news source. We are live from the Legacy420.com news desk, and we're live on paceradio.net and cbgtv.com. Good morning, Irene. How are you today?
Good morning, Al. Good morning, listeners and viewers. I'm doing good. You know what? I'm really loving the fact that we're getting nicer weather. You know, with spring came the nicer weather. It's it's wet, but that's okay.
That's
it's
right.
warmer.
It's still warm. Just
Yes.
so everybody knows, Green Irene is filling in for Rev Kelly because Rev Kelly has just spent the last 3+ days running her feet off at the Can Expo, looking after the stuff that's happening up on the stage. So I'm sure she is still sleeping today.
I bet she is exhausted. That is so much work, and what a wonderful, beautiful event. The event planners really pulled off the ultimate combo, I felt, of historical activists and newcomers and retail. Like they just really pulled it all together. It was nice.
It was a combination of everything. Like Abby Roach, she received a Lifetime Achievement Award. They had the Influencer Awards, which was all grassroots advocacy that I saw in all of it.
Exactly. And you know what? They should. It's so wonderful to. Sorry, I had to close that. We are competing with the outdoor traffic.
Oh, yay.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I think most of the awards went to grassroots. Seeing Abby receive that Lifetime Achievement Award was, it was a memorable moment. Running into a large number of traditional or historical legacy people, and people from all walks. I saw patients there, as well as, we ran into Kim Saltarsky, who is a producer. He did Jack's Garage and such. Abby Roach was there. Jackie Childs was there, a huge influencer in the cannabis community. And of course, Kelly just pulled everything off on the stage very, very, what appeared to be very, very smoothly, which means there was a lot of work in the background.
Oh yeah, big time. So I'm sure that over the next little while we'll hear little updates and stuff. And I'm sure when Kelly is on next week, we'll have a quick gab on how things went at that time too as well. But we spent the day down there on Friday, and got involved in the awards and went around and talked to some of the vendors and hung around in the sesh area, which there was no official sesh area, but as always, we create our own.
It was comical when I saw the gathering that was taking place outdoors, creating this sesh area. I was walking through the hallway there to head to those doors. So through the glass, you can see everybody out there already, and you see that on our video coverage. However, I was walking through some persons that were not involved in the event, and there was a gathering of about 3 or 4 of them, and I hear, there's a real culture that goes along with this in this community. And I smiled and I said, no, there's a real community that developed a culture. And I just kept walking, because realistically, we have, as a community, we created this culture.
Yep. All right, well, on to our first news story of the day. Headline from Victoria News says Victoria Cannabis Club gets third raid, already facing a $6.5 million in fines.
I have to admit, Al and viewers, I read this and I had woke up in such a great mood, and then I read this article and my heart just sunk to my gut. My guts went into my throat, and it's like, for God's sakes already, enough is enough. You know, these guys, for whatever reason, officers with BC's Community Safety Unit once again seized product from the Victoria Cannabis Buyers Club. Its new location on Quadra Street in North Park was raided on Thursday, which is March 23rd, at around 10 a.m. after moving just 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. The unlicensed medical cannabis store and founder, Ted Smith, faced almost $6.5 million in fines based on previous enforcement. And Ted says they weren't even here for an hour this time, and it was just a hit and run. He estimated anywhere from $80,000 to $100,000 worth of merchandise was seized in the latest raid.
CSU officers, that's the that's the unit
Community
there.
Safety Unit.
Yeah, which aren't even, they're not even cops. Okay, keep that in mind. This is a community safety unit. Officers attended the club's previous 826 Johnson Street location on November 14th, 2019. And then again on July 15th, 2020, after the Liquor and Cannabis Regulation Branch learned and confirmed there was no provincial license associated with the address. Cannabis products and club documents were seized on both occasions. After operating at the Johnson Street location for nearly 22 years, the club moved to Quadra Street in late February.
Without the usual backup stash at the new location, Smith says the club has now been left with little choice but to apply for an injunction from the province that would allow his business to operate until he can have a full hearing. He says, "We've been stuck in bureaucratic nightmare trying to fight the fines that were issued from the first raids and haven't gotten in front of a real judge. We're literally been in a kangaroo court, and now that the club is clearly in jeopardy, we're going to go for an injunction because we have significant constitutional arguments that have been successful in other courts in other provinces."
Yes. According to Smith, the club serves about 3,000 members every month. It provides medical cannabis to people afflicted by a range of illnesses and conditions, from cancer and chronic pain to epilepsy and arthritis. Member Hilliam Holenchuk was surprised to see the raid taking place when he arrived to pick up medical cannabis for chronic pain from an occupational injury. Now, this 65-year-old said he's been a regular at the club since obtaining his federal license 10 years ago.
Yeah, he says that this is the only unlicensed facility that I'm aware of. It's sad. The stuff from the government stores is too expensive, and I can't afford it on my pension. Is what he says. Yeah, I'm sure it is. So the Victoria Cannabis Buyer Club is the country's oldest compassion club and has openly sold medical cannabis products since 1996. And in January 2020, Victoria City Council itself, passed a motion supporting the club's request for an exemption to the province's cannabis regulations.
Yep. The Ministry of Public Safety and Solicitor General confirmed that CSU officers were active in the capital March 23rd, but would not comment further on the raid. You know, I'm just, it's almost like they've got a personal vendetta. Yeah, we'll teach you. Yeah, we'll teach you. And I mean, that's disgusting. That's disgusting because it's at the cost of patients.
Knowing that the city council supports them in what they're doing, you know, it would be nice if that would help, you know, with some of this. Like, that's obviously big support.
Yes, exactly.
You know, he mentions 3,000. He mentions 3,000 visits a month, and they've got like up to 8,700 members. So where do all those patients go now?
Do you know, Al, I've been very fortunate this last year, sort of. I mean, I have spent a little over almost $7,000 on cannabis in 2022 for medical purposes because I don't have coverage now, which means I'm mostly going to dispensaries and reservations at this point in time. And that's my own lapse in judgment for not taking care of things the way I should have. But that being said, someone out there is going to be spending that same amount That is $500 to $1,000 per month on their meds.
Yeah,
These
and
cannabis clubs save these patients and give them the quality of life that we all deserve and are entitled to. It's disgusting that these guys are being personally accosted and attacked in the capacity that they are by the CSU.
Yeah, it's sad. And they're all, they have to go through a process. They don't just sell to people who walk up to the door.
Right,
They go through a process to show them the medicinal use. So
exactly.
So let's keep our fingers crossed. We'll keep in touch with what's going on there and keep people informed what's happening.
Stay on top of it if you can. Yes, for sure.
Yep, BC. All right, up next. Headline says Toronto updates the decriminalization request and asks to exempt all drugs, including youth.
All right, so this was interesting. Toronto updated its 14-month-old decriminalization request to federal government on Friday, clarifying that it wants Health Canada exemption to cover young people as well as adults and all drugs for personal use. The city's submission, an update to its initial January 22nd request, indicates Toronto wants the federal agency to go further than the exemption it recently granted to British Columbia under the Controlled Drugs and Substances Act.
It makes clear the city wants its exemption to apply to all drugs for personal use and should shield young people from criminalization, a departure from the BC exemption, which only applies to adults and lists a select number of substances. Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Irene says the submission sent to Health Canada, co-signed by the city's police chief and city manager, is a made in Toronto model reflective of a months long consultation process.
We're talking about a matter of health and matter of human rights, not one that really is meant to be addressed or is best addressed with a criminal justice approach, she said in an interview. And that's why we're pursuing this route, she continued. BC's 3-year exemption under the Act was granted in June, and it came into force in January 31st. While that exemption caps possession at 2.5 grams, the Toronto submission does not outline a specific threshold for what constitutes personal use.
Yeah, BC originally asked for 4 or 4.5 grams, and 2.5 is what the government came back with. So, drug use and the purchasing patterns are exceptionally diverse, the submission said, and can vary based in part on a person's tolerance. All trafficking and drug production would remain illegal, whereas the BC exemption only applies to people 18 and older. The Toronto model also applied to young people. A 2019 survey conducted by the Canadian Association of Mental Health indicated about 11% of Ontario students in grades 7 to 12 reported the non-medical use of opioids in the past year.
Right. 8 people aged 12 to 17 died from opiate overdoses in Toronto between 2019 and 2021, the submission said. Health issues are health issues, regardless of the person involved, said Davila. That's why we feel that this is something that does have to apply to all, so that we're sure that even the youngest members of our community are having their health issues looked at and addressed through a health lens, rather than through something like the criminal justice lens.
Exactly. The pace of the approval process has garnered criticism from drug users and advocates who say it fails to match the urgency required of an overdose crisis that has killed hundreds of people every year in Toronto. Now, according to Dan Werb, the director of the Center of Drug Policy Evaluation at St. Michael's Hospital, he says they're moving too slowly. So it's nice to see movement. It's just whenever you see a little bit of movement, I think for me at least, it hits home just how slowly this process is going and how much we're dragging our feet.
Right? Yeah, and it would be frustrating for a doctor that's seeing this. And I have a couple of friends who are doctors or assistants, physician assistants, and they're very frustrated with the system. Decriminalization will not make the street supply any less toxic, Werb says, but it could reduce the barriers that people face to accessing services that help prevent them from dying of overdoses. He says a decriminalization policy only works if it covers all drugs, since the street supply is often cut with substances that are not covered by BC's exemption.
Webb goes on to say that, but if we all agree that the primary driver of overdose deaths in Canada is the unregulated toxic market and all the contaminants that are circling within it, then it seems to me that the most rational choice would be to engage directly, intervene on that unregulated market. Andre Gagnon, a federal government spokesman, said Health Canada cannot comment on exemption requests under review.
He says in an email, each exemption request under the Controlled Drugs and Substances Act is carefully reviewed on a case-by-case basis, taking into account all relevant considerations, including evidence of benefits and risks or harms to the health and safety of Canadians. We recognize the different approaches cities, provinces, and other organizations are taking. We will continue to work with Toronto Public Health to ensure both public health and public safety is considered, continues Andre Gagnon.
How do you engage if you don't get much communication between them? It just doesn't make sense. Better access to services, including 24/7 harm reductions and substance use supports, will be part and parcel of making the model successful, said Davila, the medical officer of health. She says there is no question that more services are needed. The submission says the city intends to have several new services in place by the time decriminalization is implemented, including at least one 24/7 support location in the downtown core to serve as an alternative to emergency departments.
The Canadian Association of Mental Health is a strong supporter of the effort to decriminalize the simple possession of substances, said Chief of Addictions, Dr. Leslie Buckley. Decrim is one part of the picture, she said. It will decrease stigma. It will increase the likelihood that youth will reach out for help when they need it because they won't be afraid of a criminal charge. And that might open up a door of possibility for young people to think about accessing care.
Big time, right there. Big time.
Yes.
You're saying you want to help these people. Well, this is one way of doing it. Is it brings the people in so you can communicate with them and give them this information.
That's right.
Yeah. Now it's a long story, Irene, so I'm not going to continue on all the way down through the end. But it's good to see that the city has requested this. It's just too bad that it's taking so long for it to be to come to reality.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's very unfortunate. CAM, Canadian Association for Mental Health, believes that the police are really are in support of the decriminalization as well. But there's concerns there too. I mean, it really is a sticky spot. You have to do things right,
Right.
So let's get
exactly.
things decriminalized. Let's not, you want to be careful that when you decriminalize with respect to youth, that you're not supplying them with a license.
No, you don't want to have a license. You want
Right.
to be able to get them in so you can, deal with the situation.
Right.
I know that part of this would probably be something along the line of if a person can continue or to help them reduce down, I would think that the authority positions would rather see them purchase the products from a company versus off of the street.
Yeah. And I guess what I mean was
safe supply.
Yeah, I meant free range, like permission. I didn't mean like a physical license. I meant like permission.
Okay.
So because we're decriminalizing it, if we do decriminalize for youth personal consumption amounts, it would be nice to see them then move into some sort of therapeutic requirement, or so that they can get control of their situation. I don't want to see kids saying, it's not like it's illegal or anything, I might as well run out and try some.
No.
Right?
No. All right, on to our next story, and this one was disturbing.
Dick Ford! Oh wait, I mean Doug.
He doesn't want cannabis smoking lounges in Ontario. He says do it somewhere else. I know
I'm coming to hang
that
out in
this
his
was covered on
backyard.
Thursday, but this, I just went, what? What do you do? What do you mean you don't want lounges? And he's talking about outdoor lounges. Never mind indoor.
Yeah, I know. He's got, you know what? He's missing a few brain cells. There's no doubt about it. I think I'm going to go hang out on his porch and lounge around smoking all the cannabis I can find. Ontario Premier Doug Ford is thumbing down the proposal from the Ontario Chamber of Commerce that allows cannabis smoking lounges in the province. I don't like the idea of having a lounge outside and they're smoking or doobies or weed or whatever the heck they call it now, the Premier said. All right, dude. Doug, you're sitting back in your place. Shut up, Irene. Okay, carry on, Al.
As part of the 2023 provincial budget proposal, the Ontario Chamber of Commerce, 2 thumbs up to them, is calling for the legalization of cannabis lounges throughout the province. The Chamber wrote in its budget proposal a recommendation to facilitate cannabis consumption establishments and implement special occasion permits. Double thumbs up again. This advice comes nearly 5 years after recreational cannabis was legalized in Canada, and it reflects the rapid expanding industry, which has so far contributed more than $43 billion to the national GDP.
I helped.
I helped. Yeah, okay.
Allowing cannabis lounges, according to the Chamber, would assist to modernize the cannabis sector. It attracts investment and develops the economy. Absolutely. These establishments, if implemented, might benefit both consumers and retailers. There's no disagreement there. In the 3 years since recreational cannabis was legalized in Canada, it has quickly emerged as one of Canada's fastest growing sectors and has since contributed over $43 billion to the national GDP, says the Chamber's report. Yet major hurdles, including an overly restrictive regulatory regime, absolutely inhibit the economic growth. It deters investment and squeeze margins for producers and retailers alike. Absolutely.
But Ford has become vocal in resisting the proposal to be implemented in the province, harking back on his opinion that he doesn't like the idea of kids walking by and smelling it. I don't like that personally, he says. If you want to do your stuff, do it somewhere else. That's my opinion. Well, it's great that that's your opinion, but that's not, you don't make laws based just on your opinion.
I would like to make the law that he doesn't wear the same cologne that he's been wearing for the last 6 years. It's disgusting. Yet people have to stand beside him.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Chamber's president and CEO, Rocco Rossi, told the Toronto Star that a number of cannabis stores are struggling financially, considering that illegal sales still account for almost half of the market. He advocated for regulatory relaxation, as well as cannabis lounges or bars and pop-up sites at concerts or sporting events, a move that tourist organizations have lauded as a method to attract more people to the province.
Yeah, he says that we've got some municipalities that allow cannabis stores and some that don't. So we've got a bit of a chaotic rural structure. I think this is an area where 3 years in, you can and should be having ongoing conversations to make things more transparent and more consistent, according to Rossi. But on Thursday, Ford resisted calls by the Chamber of the government to step in.
There is store after store, and I always said the market is going to dictate, Ford said. You go to a strip mall and you can have 3 convenience stores side by side. Eventually, there's going to be one left. That's what's happening to the cannabis stores. In my opinion, the market always dictates, not the government.
Well, that's the stores. That's not the lounges.
Right. I know. He's just Dick Ford. Anyway, Daniel Safiani, the Chamber's Vice President of Policy, said that during their consultations with the Alcohol and Gaming Commission, they suggested lounges could provide a safe, secure, and sanitary environment, particularly for new and inexperienced customers to consume cannabis products such as edibles and beverages, which tend to have larger education gaps. So everybody is on board except for the Dick. And I'm sure that'll change. Like I'm sure he will be put back in place and take his little maniacal maniac ego, set it aside, because I really don't care what his opinion is, and neither does the rest of
I
them.
wonder if because he made the decision to open the market to what stores, like the free market, and allow as many stores as whatever the market would allow. You got some backlash from some people on that. I wonder if that's part of the thing here with the lounges, that is, more, would that be create more of a backlash
Well, here's
to
something
some people?
interesting, Al. Have you
I
ever
don't know,
noticed
but
that?
obviously, Toronto had 10 lounges 10 years ago, and there was no issue other than the fact that there was no regulations around them. The police didn't have a problem with them. They had as many visits to lounges, and that's just walk-in stuff like that, than they would have at a regular weekend in the alcohol district. Like, it's just,
I know.
it's sad.
I know.
It's sad.
It's terribly sad. It's very disturbing. There are a lot of people that are focusing now on the tourism of the cannabis, and hopefully we see Doug put back in his chair to sit down and mind the business he knows how to do, rather than sticking it where it doesn't belong.
My suggestion is, if you don't like to smoke waffling in front of children from an outside lounge, then allow an inside lounge where there can be ventilated air going out.
Absolutely. My cannabis lounge, when I had the lounge prior to legalization, I had several people walk in out of the sake of curiosity, just to see what it was all about. And they would come in and check it out and say, I don't even smell it in here. I don't even smell it. And I said, yeah, and I'm sitting here smoking one, or enjoying the vape, pardon me, because we weren't allowed to spark up, but we could vape. And I said, here it goes. And it's going off. So I don't even smell it. And again, with the proper ventilation, with the proper exhaust systems, you do not smell the cannabis. And it's a much cleaner, healthier, happier environment than any bar I've ever seen.
Oh yeah. We have lots of evidence of all that. So.
Yes.
All right. On to our next story. This one comes to us from CBC. Headline says that First Nations researcher exploring psychedelics as healing tool for intergenerational trauma.
Yes, this is beautiful. I can't wait to see the results of this. Now, Mott, a Center for Psychedelic Research, studying treatments for a variety of disorders. These are researchers at the Vancouver Island University, say that Indigenous knowledge is key to exploring how psychedelic substances can help treat a variety of disorders related to mental health.
Georgina Martin, the co-leader of the Not Somewhat Center for Psychedelic Research, says this work caught her attention because of the possibilities it offers for treatment of intergenerational trauma. She says that, I feel this is an opportunity to explore something that may be a response to some of the health issues that Indigenous people are facing.
Yes, that's what Martin said. Martin, who is a Secwepemc, is a professor of Indigenous Zulumox studies at, the challenge with Ojibwe or any Indigenous language, Native American language, is Native American languages speak with your jaw and the tongue at the back of your mouth. Whereas English speaking, we speak forward to enunciate our words. So it's very difficult. Joaquimalax studies at Vancouver Island for University. Martin said Indigenous people have been using medicines like psychedelics for a millennia. And I think in relation to the spirituality, there are many of our people that are very connected to that realm. They understand how our spirituality is very significant, and it's our key to healing.
Martin said the center uses a two-eyed seeing approach, combining Western-style science with Indigenous perspectives, and goes on to say that there's a lot of care and concern that needs to be put into place to ensure that Indigenous people feel that they're going to be respected, not only for their knowledge, but also for the medicines that they currently harvest and use.
Yes, it's an excellent article, Al, but as we discussed previously, it's also a very long article.
Yeah.
So, the bottom line is Shannon Dames was the chair of psychedelic assisted therapy education and research programming at Vancouver Island University, and said what heals people are connections. It's reconnection to themselves, reconnection to other humans or group members. It's a pretty phenomenal process, and these medicines facilitate it.
Yeah, there you go. I'm just scanning through the article because you see how long it is.
Yeah,
But it's
I
good
just
to
went right
see.
to the end.
Yeah.
And she says, in conclusion, she says the way to Western biomedical system works does not take into account the spiritual aptitude into the practice and developing a programming that incorporates both, that is respectful and responsible. And that is the center's biggest challenge.
Yeah, big one. All right, it's break time.
It
Bottom of the
is.
hour. It's time. Yeah, time to take a break. Green Irene and I'll be right back after our session. You're watching Psychedelics and Cannabis Educational News here on the Pace Radio Network. You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net. In February of 2022, the Victoria Cannabis Buyers Club and Ted Smith were fined $6.5 million. This for helping 8,500 patients with access to medical cannabis. In our interview with Ted, he spoke to us about how people can donate to help in an upcoming court challenge. And here is part of that interview. From what I've seen lately, I believe that you've got something that you're trying to do as far as fundraising to deal with this next court challenge.
For now, people can write checks directly to Jack Lloyd Law Corporation or send e-transfers to Save the VCBC at gmail.com. I guess those are the two easiest ways for people to help right now.
What do you find at paceradio.net? People advocating cannabis education.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Cannabis edibles are an effective way to manage pain and other ailments, especially when you deal with your trusted partner, Legacy 420, in Tyendinaga Mohawk territory. You see, we lab test every product on site to ensure proper dosage every time, which is critical when consuming cannabis edibles. All Legacy 420 edibles are made by our classically trained baker and chocolatier, and we also have super tasty vegan options.
Our baker has been in the industry for 25 years. She's also a chocolatier. Everything from savory to sweet, your chocolate bars, brownies, butter tarts, you name it, we make it.
Talk to our knowledgeable Cannatex about our incredible variety available. Give your trusted partners a call. Legacy 420 out on your road.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net. With Psychedelics and Cannabis Educational News here on the paceradio.net. Well, Irene, we've got a few more stories to go, and some of them are pretty lengthy, so we better get at it.
I think so. All right, our next headline reads, Zurich to launch cannabis legalization pilot program.
All right, another country. The government of Switzerland has approved a plan to legalize the possession and consumption of cannabis in the city of Zurich as part of a 3-year pilot program to assess the social and economic impacts of legalization of cannabis. Through the trial, thousands of Zurich residents will be able to purchase cannabis for personal use beginning this summer.
Yeah. The trial will have a broad focus to gain data on the effects of different strengths of cannabis, on what helps individuals make informed decisions, and on the pros and cons of different models of sale, said Barbara Burry, who is a project manager at Zurich's Municipal Health Department. The pilot program will allow a test group of up to 2,100 residents to purchase regulated doses of cannabis for personal use from pharmacies, social clubs, and special dispensaries. Researchers have made arrangements for a total of 21 supply points to be located throughout the city. Sales of cannabis for the study are expected to begin at the supply points beginning in August of this year.
Hey, Doug. Doug, did you hear that? Zurich? Social clubs where you could buy cannabis. The study's participants will have the option of a variety of cannabis products with different potency of THC and CBD. All cannabis products obtained through the pilot program will be organically produced by licensed Swiss companies and lab tested for purity and potency. Prices of cannabis available at the study supply points will be set to reflect prices of the city's illicit market. It's going to be priced where the illicit market is priced, which has always been higher because of prohibition, versus what it actually costs to produce it. All right. That's what happened here. That's what happened here,
Isn't
too.
it? Yeah. After receiving government approval, two producers, Pure Production AG and Swiss Extract, will begin cultivating cannabis for the study, according to a report from Forbes. The first harvest of cured cannabis flower is expected to be ready in July, with cannabis concentrates coming to the pilot program supply points in October. Participants in the study, which is being conducted by the Zurich City Council in association with the University of Zurich, will be required to answer a questionnaire every 6 months during the 3-year study period. Now, this questionnaire will ask participants about their cannabis consumption habits and the health effects of their cannabis use.
The leaders of the study say the goal of the pilot program is to determine the conditions under which cannabis legalization in Switzerland can be compatible with promoting individual and public health and safety, according to the report from CNBC. Data collected from the trial will be released on a rolling basis beginning next year. Now, Burry says that the idea is to get robust real-world evidence that serves policymaking for new national regulation on cannabis. So they're going to spend 3 years studying it and then come up with everything.
Yeah. Researchers conducting the study will compare and contrast the advantages and disadvantages of the cannabis products and supply sources. The study will also assess the current illicit cannabis market in Zurich, with the research focusing on maintaining public health, ensuring public safety, and protecting young people from the risks of cannabis use. Zurich residents interested in participating in the cannabis legalization pilot study can register for the program online. Participants must be active cannabis users, at least 18 years old. Pregnant women, professional drivers, and those with underlying health conditions are not eligible to participate in the research pilot. Study candidates who show signs of drug dependence or poor health due to drug use are also ineligible.
So if you're not a patient, don't apply. Underlying health conditions.
Yeah, that's a little bit disturbing. So if you've got
It is.
arthritis, you better not apply for the program. You just got to be
Right.
like you just got to be using it recreationally, basically.
Correct. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Public health studies have determined that about a third of adults in Switzerland have tried cannabis. Zurich, the Alpine's nation's most populous city with about 420,000. All right. Residents, has about 13,000 regular cannabis users, according to research. And in 2020, the Swiss federal government passed a so-called experimental article in the Narcotics Act, which allows studies to be carried out on the regulated sale of cannabis. And on May 15, 2021, the amendments to the Narcotics Act went into effect, enabling pilot trials with the controlled sale of cannabis for recreational purposes.
Cool. The city of Basel was the first municipality in Switzerland to conduct a pilot study, launched last year with 400 participants. Other pilot studies planned for the Swiss cities of Bern, Lausanne, Geneva, Biel, Thun, Olten, and Winterthur will be conducted in upcoming months. Malta is the only country in the European Union that has legalized recreational cannabis for personal use. And although sales of adult use cannabis have not been legalized on the tiny island nation in the Mediterranean Sea, Germany will likely be the next EU member to legalize recreational cannabis, with legalization expected from lawmakers soon. The Czech Republic has also announced plans to legalize cannabis for adults, although details of the plan have not yet been released.
Yeah. Before we get into reading off all these different, actually we're at the end of the article anyways. Okay, yeah, I was gonna say before we read off all these countries, we should just hold off until we got an article coming up that will probably touch on some of that as well.
Yeah, but we're actually at the end. So cannabis legalization plans that would allow cultivation for personal use have been proposed by officials in Luxembourg and Belgium. And last month, the Netherlands launched a pilot program for cannabis sales in the cities of Tilburg and Breda.
Yeah, which, some people might find strange. They're probably already thinking, well, isn't cannabis already legal there? Whereas in reality, it's not.
Right? So. Surprise, surprise.
Surprise. All right. On to the next article.
Dude.
And where are you? There you come.
Hey, how you doing over there?
According to Yahoo. All right. Cheech and Chong launch online cannabis community.
Love it. So, the platform powered by Ear to Ground connects like-minded cannabis enthusiasts known as bowl mates from around the world in a community where users can share and talk openly without fear of unnecessary suppression. With other social media platforms censoring cannabis posts and content, it was time to build our own community that is all-inclusive for all cannabis enthusiasts and content without the fear of unwanted and improper censorship, says CEO Jonathan Black.
Visit bowlmates.com to gain immediate access to exclusive content, live streams, and interact with the legendary duo across a variety of online activities to be rewarded with virtual tokens. These tokens can then be exchanged on the platform for authorized merchandise, memorabilia, in-person and digital events connecting with Cheech and Chong.
I love it. I love this connection. I love how they're blending and pulling everything in. I just think it's fabulous. We've been spreading love and connecting people through our movies, albums, and live shows for decades, creating somewhere online where we continue that mission. It's been a long time coming, man, says Tommy Chong. It's true. Finally, a place where we can unite on a deeper level with our bowl mates from around the world than we have ever before, adds Cheech. These guys...
As pioneers... What's that?
Yep.
Okay. As pioneers of the cannabis counterculture, Cheech and Chong have faced their fair share of censorship throughout their careers. By partnering with Ear to Ground, they're breaking free from the constraints of major social media platforms and delivering authentic content. Ben Mason, CEO of Ear to Ground, shares the excitement. It's fantastic that Cheech and Chong understand the importance of having an online destination they fully own, where users are free to discuss all things cannabis. Bowlmates are exactly what the online cannabis community has been searching for and needs.
Yes. Danny Keith, CRO, adds, the desire for cannabis enthusiasts to interact in a social environment where they can actually converse with Cheech and Chong is paramount. Not to mention, Ear to Ground's platform is an unprecedented redesign of social media as we know it. Become a bowlmate. Visit bowlmates.com and sign up to join the community today, says the article. A little bit about Cheech and Chong's global holdings.
There you go. That's it.
Mm-hmm. You can check out www.cheechandchong.com if you like.
There you go. Bowlmates. Hey, I've never even Bowlmates. Yeah.
Well, that's because it's brand new.
Who knows?
That's because it's brand new.
Yeah.
I love it.
All right. As we mentioned in the about 5 minutes ago, maybe, about some legalization of cannabis. And this headline right here says it all.
Where is cannabis legal?
Countries that have decriminalized cannabis for recreation. Yeah. Where is it legal? Where is it legal or decriminalized for medical or recreational use?
Well, interestingly, Germany, which is Europe's largest
very,
economy. I'm sorry, Al. I keep over talking you. Please go ahead.
I was gonna say we were always wondering where people can consume cannabis legally. This list gives us an idea where, and because it is so long, why don't we just go right down? I'm going down right where the countries have legalized for recreational use of cannabis.
Okay, well, let's see. We'll start with Canada. Of course, Canada was on October 17th, 2018. Georgia was on July 30th, 2018. Malta was the first EU country on December 14th, 2021. Medical was announced as legal in 2018. My apologies. Mexico, recreational cannabis became legal on June 29th, 2021. South Africa. Let's see. Go ahead.
Thailand, the commercial sale of cannabis was legalized in June 9th of 2022. Uruguay, it's been around since 2017. United States, now that's no federal use, I can tell you that right now, but it is legal in 37 states, which is good, but we need more. Australian Capital Territory in Australia since 2020. Possession and growth of small amounts of cannabis has been legal.
So, contrary to popular belief, cannabis in the Netherlands is illegal, but recreational use is tolerated and decriminalized for personal use. Now, from medical use,
for medical use,
yeah,
countries have legalized the medical use of cannabis: Argentina, Australia, Barbados,
Brazil, Canada, Chile, Colombia,
Costa Rica, Croatia, Cyprus, Croatia. There you go. Czechoslovakia, or Czech Republic. Sorry.
Yeah, Denmark, Ecuador, Finland, Georgia,
Germany, Greece, Ireland, Israel. Boy, the list just keeps going, Irene.
Yeah, Italy, Jamaica, Lebanon, Luxembourg.
I gotta catch up. Malawi, Malta, Mexico, Netherlands,
New Zealand, North Macedonia. That surprises me. I didn't expect that. Norway, Panama,
Peru, Poland, Portugal, Rwanda.
Yes.
Wow.
St. Vincent and the Grenadines, San Marino, South Africa, Spain. Keep going.
I thought the list was done. It just keeps on going.
Right,
Sri Lanka, Switzerland, Thailand, United Kingdom.
Vanuatu, Zambia, and Zimbabwe.
There you go. It's all in alphabetical order. Nice, big, long list.
That's amazing with all of the details, eh? That's really cool.
Where it's medical. Well, look at the map. There's a map there. You can see all the countries.
Yeah,
because the colored map, eh?
How cool is that, eh?
It's quite. Yeah, always wondered. And all of a sudden,
compared to what it once was, even so much as 10 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Remember one time there was nobody. 2017 Uruguay, they made it legal and they were considered the first country. And now look at it. Huge list.
Just incredible. Beautiful.
Okay. On to the next story. And I'm bringing it up.
After 17 years.
Here it comes.
Have I got you there, Al?
Uh-oh. I'm frozen. There we go. There we go. Okay. Am I back?
You're back.
I'm back. All right. Good. Yeah, it's all of a sudden, eh? But I'm hoping to fix that. I'm working on that, getting rid of that lag. But we're on satellite internet out here. We're in the boonies, right?
Yeah.
That's what happens. All right. Next story, headline on it.
After 17 years of side effects from standard drugs, chronic pain patient finds relief with cannabis study. Go figure. We've been touting this for some time, right?
That's right. The question is, can medical cannabis bring relief to suffering from chronic pain? As per a new case study recently published by researchers that drug science cannabis could be effective in treating chronic neuropathic pain.
Right. Now, the paper documents the case of a 61-year-old woman with idiopathic small fiber neuropathy who has been suffering from the associated neuropathic pain for 17 years. During that period, she was prescribed gabapentinoid pregabalin combined with various other agents like duloxetine and topical capsaicin. Now, while these standard treatments helped her manage the pain to some level, the patient experienced a lot of unwanted side effects like hearing loss, tinnitus, sleepiness, confusion, and worsening anxiety. Not
After several
surprisingly,
months of cannabis treatment, yeah, exactly. After several months of cannabis treatment through Property 21, one of Europe's largest national medical cannabis registries, the patient said she was given a second chance of life, or at life. Project 21 launched in 2021 at the Royal Colleges of Psychiatrists in London, provides enrollment patients with tracking of their treatment by an independent scientific body, Drug Science.
yes, within a month of enrollment and getting prescribed full plant extract. Pay attention to that. If you're a patient out there, full plant extract. You don't want the distillates. Anyways, THC 10 milligrams, CBD 15 milligrams per mil oil. The patient was able to lower her dose of pregabalin and continue to decrease it until January of 2022. She says, I have had peripheral neuropathy for over 17 years, and I've tried all sorts of medications and treatments, traditional and alternative. Too many to mention, but include ketamine infusions, and I even twice trialed a spinal cord stimulator. The patient shared her perspective. Nothing has come anywhere close to the pain relief that I gain from the prescription cannabis I've been taking whilst on the 21 study.
Wow. Even though the paper documents one patient's experience, the authors believe this makes a strong case for the potential of medical cannabis as a treatment for chronic pain. Peter Sutherland, a lecturer at the pharmacy practice at the University of Bath, who authored the paper, told Cannabis Health that he thinks the patient may have had even better results if she had started her medical cannabis treatment earlier.
Yes. Now, this case is clear cut in that all the evidence-based medicine has been tried. So there really wasn't anywhere else to go, said Sunderland. His gut feeling as the clinician is that if cannabis was prescribed at an earlier stage for this patient, she would have had a much better outcome early on and not 17 plus years of suffering, not to mention the damage that those pharmaceuticals did to her body. I mean, it doesn't say that in the article, but I'm certainly adding to adding that
Oh
statement.
yeah, I'm sure there was something. All right, we got our last story here, Irene. We gotta do her quick. If it shows
Yes,
up
the
here on
tribe
my
in
screen.
northern Wisconsin is pursuing retail cannabis, and here's why many tribes see the potential industry as a way to diversify revenue.
Yeah, the Bad River Ojibwe tribe in northern Wisconsin this month posted a job application for a legal consultant to assist the tribe with operating a retail cannabis business on the reservation. The posting points out that Wisconsin has not yet legalized cannabis, and the consulting service requested would be for a future project.
Yes, the job posting was released on March 20th, less than 2 weeks after the State of Tribes address, in which Soka-Agon, the tribal chairman Robert Van Zyl, encouraged legislators in Madison to legalize cannabis and have the tribes in Wisconsin be a part of operations. Some tribal officials are seeking a medical cannabis compact similar to the gaming compact that the state has with the tribes.
The general pulse of cannabis policy reform in Wisconsin has been stagnant, and it was very encouraging to hear Chairman Van Zyl address legalization at the State of the Tribes address this month, says Rob Pirro, a Bad River tribal member who launched the state's first Native American independently owned CBD company. He said he wasn't involved in the Bad River's business development team, but did congratulate those involved.
Absolutely. Ultimately, we're so excited for Bad River to start the discovery phases of entering the cannabis industry, Perot said. As a member of Bad River and a business owner in space, I'm really happy to see them take this step. Last year, Perot founded the nonprofit Indigenous Cannabis Industry Association as a way for tribal citizens and organizations to talk to each other in a safe space to explore what can be done legally in the cannabis industry in Wisconsin and elsewhere in Indian country. We, the ICIA, recommend that tribes should be taking the steps now to poise for legalization, he said. At our Wisconsin Cannabis Industry and Policy Summit last month, we met with tribes from all over the state who are in this preliminary exploratory phase, just trying to determine what the next steps are.
Matthew Fletcher, professor at law at the University of Michigan, who specializes in tribal law, doubts tribal nations can have much success in the cannabis industry without a change in federal law. Oh, really? He says that the only way to do that would be on tribal trust land, Indian country land. And since federal law still bans cannabis, no, there's no way. That doesn't mean tribes won't do it, but they are at the complete mercy of the whims of the federal government's decision to prosecute or not. It's no way to do business. Same is true even if the state makes it legal. So even if it's legal in the state, because the reserves are under federal land, they can still be breaking the law.
Right. But as Perot, he believes that tribes that are interested can still find their own unique way to enter the industry and help diversify revenue. He says there are complexities and risks to consider while states legalize and the federal government drags its feet. The real factors we found that have been obstacles to tribes across the country have to do with capacity and the resources needed to begin developing feasibility statements. And once they decide to begin weighing the opportunity, every tribe will have a different roadmap to follow.
Yeah, exactly. Now, unfortunately, due to time restraints, Irene won't be able to finish the story.
No, fair enough.
Yeah, but it's good to see that they're opening the door to what could be something that's very large.
Absolutely. And I mean, the bottom line with respect to that job at Bad River, the deadline for the cannabis legal consulting job is April 18th. So anybody who's interested or in that neighborhood might want, if they're listening, may want to get in there now, get your application in and be heard, have your voice.
Yeah, exactly. You got anything you want to say? We got 30 seconds.
Hey, you know what? Yes, I do. I want to shout out to all of our listeners and audience and tell you all, make sure you're tuning into CBG TV because we've got a lot of exciting new programming coming up and some really cool stuff happening.
Sure do. Good stuff. All right. From the Legacy420.com news desk, that's our PACE news report for March the 27th, 2023. Thanks to our buds at Camelford Lifestyle Shop and Legacy420.com. And in closing, we'd like to say thank you for watching. Plus, don't forget to educate, medicate, and do not incarcerate. Whatever you do, don't put people in jail. Talk to you all soon. Bye-bye. You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
When you have a pain that's reached its peak, Legacy for 20, it's so unique. If organic cannabis is what you seek, here's your trusted partner 7 days a week. Suppository salves, vapes and drops, topicals, edibles, infused pop. Just when life seems like it ain't easy, at Legacy 420, enjoy a pop freezy. Lab tested products, make them the GOAT. Legacy 420 out on your road. Legacy 420 in Tyndonega Mohawk territory. Indigenous organic cannabis at its finest.
What do you find at paceradio.net? People advocating cannabis education.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Are you a cannabis content creator? Are you looking for a place to have your content seen? If you answer yes to both questions, then you need to check out cbgtv.com. CBG TV, broadcasting to a worldwide audience. Find us at cbgtv.com.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.